start your self-improvement journey now or watch the rest of your life begin to slowly crumble? What do we think when we hear self-improvement? Some people might, think of just getting your body right, getting in shape, maybe heading to the gym. Some might even think of finances, financial gurus, or starting an online business or a venture of some sorts, or, maybe some may even think gathering a bunch of knowledge, reading books. And I'm here to tell you that that's basically a broad spectrum of self-improvement, and self-improvement is all of those things, especially for young men today in the climate and the power of the internet, if you will, shaping everything around us. And now we have AI. It's just recently, we were just looking at the hundreds of thousands of layoffs that these big companies have been performing and getting rid of their bottom line middle management employees to basically cut costs and whatnot. And we are going to be looking at essentially like what you can do today to help fix your life. Particularly, I can only speak for like early to later 20s, and how if you take the correct steps now, if you're taking your self-improvement journey now, you can slowly begin to adapt in a way that is going to put you far above the rest around you who are just, basically just running life on autopilot and not taking the direct steps that at least kind of bolster your life in all areas to kind of mitigate the incoming storm and the effects of like high cost of living nowadays. And just like, you go online and you just see like, Instagram gurus, or you see these like rich kids online, like a 19-year-old guy with like a drop shipping business making like 20K per month, right? And then you're just over here, you just got out of college and you're like living in like a room with like, 3 or 4 different roommates, and you're just looking like, damn, like that's like, I'm 1 year older than this guy, and we're basically the same human being. Like, how is this guy ahead, right? So in essence, there are like proven steps that I'm not going to say are going to make you, you're not going to be making 50K a month within a couple of years. No. However, if you take these steps now, these self-improvement steps, maybe like 6 or 7 implemented proven steps within the next year or so, that your life will like begin to improve in all aspects. Your dating life, your finances will at least somewhat improve, your mind, your clarity, right? And basically, if you don't do these things, I'm not going to say your life's going to go into the gutter, but you will begin to, over time, slowly begin to fall under the burden of the societal damage slowly. Like before you know it, you like 3-4 years will go by and like you haven't really done much of anything. And I'm even a victim of that. So if you begin your self-improvement journey now, like let's say you're 25 years old, let's say you're just lifting, over time those gains will compound, right? In the book Atomic Habits, there's a concept called the compound effect. And what the compound effect basically is small habits each and every day will not be noticeable immediately, but over time, the working out every day, maybe you're eating clean, like a year or 2 from now, your skin is clear, you got a full head of hair because, you're sleeping good, you're eating the right things, you know what I mean? And so this can also be in like, let's say like reading books every day. And I'm not talking about like fictional, I'm talking like more so like financial books, self-help books are really what's going to catapult you, 2 to 3 years down the line, the added knowledge into your toolkit, if you will, the toolkit of life will significantly push you in a good direction. So what I'm seeing is my personal experience was, I remember the last 2 years of high school, 4 years, the last 2 years, my senior year and junior year and senior year. That's right. Last 2 years, junior grade 11 and senior grade 12. I remember those 2 years, and then maybe around 2 to 3 years after, like I was really, really like not not doing any of the self-improvement, because to be honest, like I knew about going to like the gym, but at that time I didn't understand the concept of quote unquote self-improvement, and self-improvement is not just one or two things like we just talked about in the intro. It's like 3 to maybe about 6 or 7 different little things: reading, eating good, sleeping good. And it wasn't until I actually like stumbled upon Hamza's videos on YouTube. If some of you know the self-improvement space, you might know of him, but basically that's when I slowly began to consume that content, and slowly over the years, it wasn't easy, but implementing some of those things to the point now where like I just wake up and do these things. And let me tell you, if you do not do these things, like men, but we're discussing men only, right? Because it's basically for younger men, and even maybe middle-aged dudes in their 30s or younger 30s, but those guys typically already have more so a solid foundation, whereas younger 20s, like where I was, have no idea, have really nothing to show for or play with in terms of like finances or a decent body. But if you don't do these things, I mean, especially today, it's not easy, and you don't want to make your life harder by, let's say, like, you know, partying all the time, or like drinking, or like those useless kickbacks at your buddy's house where, you know, you guys are just, you know, sitting there hitting the bong, you know what I mean? And like that's fine, you know. For me personally, like I've gone through that gauntlet, but those sorts of things that you have to understand in life, like we always sacrifice something. Like if there's pleasure in any sense, whether it's drinking, like you're sacrificing somewhere. Like you could have used that time to, you know, maybe on a Friday night, like get to bed early, or maybe hit the gym early Saturday morning, and, you know, or like Sunday meal prepping, right? And, you know, if you have a hangover on a Sunday, you know, you might just, you know, get McDonald's breakfast and a couple of Gatorades, and you'll be knocked out for like the whole day, right? Whereas like if you use the time, and again, it's not all about being perfect, and that's the thing that I don't like about a lot of gurus, is they make it seem like each and every day is almost perfect. Like, no, it's like, let's say you have like 5 weekends, right? Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If you do the self-improvement on like 3 of those weekends, and like 2 of the weekends you slip, that's fine, because in a allotted amount of time, in the long term, you're gonna see that growth, you know, even with, you know, a week here, a week there. And so basically, if you don't, you will suffer, especially the younger generations these days, Gen Z and millennials, some earlier. I caught it a little bit later, even though early to mid 20s is where I really picked it up. I was lucky in that sense, but even still, I consider that late. So for any young guys watching right now, better start this journey, man, or you will suffer. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Be safe, and I'll see you guys soon.